The following featured presentation is part of the Skywalking Network.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Collect-Opolis. I'm Ernie Moreno. Glad you could all join us for this jam-packed episode.
And I'm Kevin Toft, and today we're taking a trip to a galaxy far, far away.
That's right, Kevin. Today we have a very special guest. He is a model supervisor at Industrial Light and Magic and is currently working on The Mandalorian and the new Obi-Wan Kenobi series, Jay Machado. Not only does this guy have an absolutely awesome job, not only is he a collector, but a cosplayer with some truly insane costumes.
So without further ado, let's hand it over to Kevin and Ernie. Take it away, guys. So I hear you collect.
Oh, I collect.
I would like to see the baby. Thanks, Ernie and Kevin.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Today's guest has a job that is truly out of this world. Jay, thank you so much for coming on the show with us today.
It's a pleasure to be here. I'm actually a big fan.
Oh, that's
All
always
right.
surprising to hear, but thank you.
love it.
A lot of our fans want to know how you get started in a job at ILM.
Well, actually, we went to school together at Cal State Fullerton. I learned illustration there, and beyond that, I was having a little trouble finding work, so I put myself through visual effects school at Noman in Hollywood.
Shout out.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things. I stepped on campus, and I knew I had to be there, and I learned the whole visual effects pipeline there, and kind of discovered modeling and texturing as a career path for me, and the rest is kind of history. I had a few jobs before ILM, and there was kind of this weird courting phase where I had interviewed and they didn't have a budget for me, but eventually stars aligned and I ended up there, and yeah, it's been awesome since. It's about 8 years ago.
What are you currently working on right now?
I'm currently working on season 3 of The Mandalorian and kind of splitting my time with Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh, that is so cool to hear, man. We're all on pins and needles for that, especially because they've been doing so well so far with all these different series. But to take it back, like, what was one of the first jobs you had with them?
I came in to work on Transformers 4, Age of Extinction. It was that's what that one was called, with the Dinobots. Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. I also did like kind of a short stint on Noah, which was coming out at the time. It's the Russell Crowe story of Noah's Ark. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I completely forgot about that film.
Yeah. Darren Aronofsky.
When you got to flood a planet,
you
gotta go to ILM.
You gotta flip it.
Absolutely.
Just taking a look around your house. You've given us kind of a tour. You have an extremely massive collection,
Which is why you are here today.
Exactly, and it's not, and the crazy thing, it's not all Star Wars.
It's not.
Right? Yeah.
No, I'm a huge fan of Batman and Superman, Ninja Turtles, all kinds of random things. And I kind of have this affinity for just 90s action figures, and I've got just a lot of random crap in here.
What would you say is like the piece that began your like massive collection? Because I think I've shared personally that it was always my Nintendo stuff, because, and I've said this before on the show too, I like to buy back my childhood, one cartridge at a time. But what started your collection?
Well, I kind of have been collecting my whole life. My dad and uncle are really into like collecting Hot Wheels cars, so we always had those around. I was into Lego as a kid, and I still collect Lego today. But what really kicked off kind of the more recent thing is, obviously as you kind of leave school and start to be gainfully employed, and you finally have that money, right? And I think the thing that really kicked it off is my buddy Landis, who I work with, Landis Fields, who I work with. He'd been collecting He-Man toys. He's really into He-Man.
Oh, geez.
And he kind of was getting into the whole eBay sniping game, and he was like, what's the thing that you could never get as a kid? And I thought, you know what? There's this Batman Mask of the Phantasm action figure, Jetpack Joker. Could never find it anywhere. And we were carpooling in the car. He's like, dude, it's on eBay. It's $10. I'm getting it for you right now. And that kind of kicked it all off. And
That's a good friend.
It was just this slippery slope of just getting more and more stuff, and then going, oh man, I remember the action figures for that.
And
I'm going to pick that up.
The first one's free, man.
Yeah. That's totally what it was. He just wanted someone to go down that rabbit hole with him.
Right.
And I just got kind of addicted. And it's kind of like an addiction. You get like, you start bidding on things and you get that high when you win. Oh man, like I got it. Like, either that or you've driven the price up and you really screwed someone out of, out of their money. It's kind of a rush, right?
Yeah, I think it was Kevin told me, it was like, it's like being an adult, you have access to so much money.
Yes.
And so much time that you can do these things.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So since you have such a massive collection, what would you consider to be like the most unique piece that you have?
One of my favorite pieces is I have the Trimaran from Waterworld.
Oh my gosh!
And
I've seen this thing.
It's still in the package. I haven't taken it out of the package, but like that movie was something I remembered as a kid, and I never had watched it, and I watched it as an adult. I think I watched it in college, and I was like, this sucks. And now I look at it now, and I'm like, you know what? It's kind of awesomely bad and brilliant, and yeah, I saw that thing on eBay, and I was like, gotta have it.
Did you buy it now, or did you snipe?
I think I might have bought it now.
Oh, yeah. Wow. You just gave somebody a lot of money.
It's not, believe it or not selling for that much.
Really? That's I see Waterworld. It's still at Universal Studios, right?
It is.
It's a stunt show, right?
Yeah, stunt show. That thing is awesome. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
The thing where the plane comes in at the end, I mean, that's still awesome.
I really wonder, like, if the modern crowd at Universal Studios understands like what is going on.
I think they just want to see a stunt show.
Yeah,
Waterworld's as good a name as any, right? They don't.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be very costly to change that to something else, I guess. Right?
I'll say this though, Kevin Costner and water, they don't mix.
Yeah, that movie left me with a lot of question marks over my head. I remember seeing it in the theater, coming out of it going, well, that just happened.
That was a movie.
You have to watch the Ulysses cut.
Aha! There's a cut.
Oh my gosh, a Ulysses cut.
There are some additional scenes that I really enjoy.
Really?
Did they fix it? Yeah. Well, but you know what? A movie can be bad and still be visually awesome.
Absolutely.
And there's no doubt about the stunt work in that.
I worked on Transformers.
Visually awesome, right?
Exactly.
But, I mean, there's stunt work, there's set decorators, there's costumes, there's still things out there that you can look at something and go, well, I didn't enjoy the movie, but man, it was gorgeous. You know? So,
absolutely.
Which there's a lot of work on that. A lot of stuntmen worked on that movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think what got to me, and this was the line that crystallized it, when they get back on land, spoilers, they get back on land, they say, oh, I'm land sick. Remember? They say, "Oh, you have to get used to being land sick." I was like,
I know. I started getting dizzy with Kevin Costner gills. That's where I got dizzy. I was like, oh no.
Well, they find those skeletons and they go, I think we should bury them under the dirt. I think it was their way. Like, how do you know? But my absolute favorite involves the boat, when they destroy the boat and he climbs up and he just goes, my boat. It's just a phenomenal
really sell
moment.
it to us. Really sell it to us. He's like, my boat.
Yeah.
It was a choice.
It was definitely a choice. But did the editor have to use that take?
We don't know how many choices he got. That might have been the choice.
Yes.
Another unique thing about you, Jay, is that not only are you a collector of these, awesome collectibles and everything, but you also construct a lot of just amazing costumes and helmets, specifically.
Something in particular?
Yeah, we wanted to know, like, when you were got onto the Mandalorian, I know that you started constructing your own Mandalorian helmets. You got to take us through, like, what goes into making these things.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what had happened is we were notified that we were nominated for a VES award for the Razor Crest. And I was like, wouldn't it be funny if I accepted the award with the Mando helmet on? And it ended up not happening because they're like, well, Favreau's going to be there. You might not like that. So I actually made the full helmet and brought it down to the set because I visited the set for the ceremony and stuff. And everybody just loved it. And then I started getting, I want one, and I want one, and this long list grew, and I started to really consider selling it, which was something I'd never really done. I'd always made costumes, but I'd never really gone into business or anything. And like, it's still kind of a small thing. I don't really like to,
No, totally. But I do remember, like, when we were in college, I remember you started doing a lot of resin work. Because I remember one of the first things I saw you do was the Superman Crest.
Yeah.
That was one of the first pieces you did, and then you did a Batman one, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Oh, of course, gotta do Batman.
Well, if you did Superman, you gotta do Batman, right?
Yeah. So I actually, when we were in school, I think it was 2007 was my first Comic-Con, and I went with our friend Dano, and and I remember showing up there and going, people dress up for this? Because I'd always loved costumes on Halloween and stuff. That was like my big thing. And when I found out that people were cosplaying at conventions, I was like, I'm there. This is my thing now. So.
But you're saying 2007, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't commercialized yet.
It really wasn't.
So people were dressing up to dress up.
Which is probably the only reason I was able to get tickets, honestly.
Right,
Now it's like, if I didn't have professional access, I would...
credentials,
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't be able to get in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I started, I think the next year, I started making like the Dark Knight suit out of like foam, craft foam, and what is that? Plasti dip spray.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I could send you pictures of it. It looks terrible, but it was...
I mean, that's a far cry from what I'm seeing today, because that Bhaskar helmet is like insane, man.
Yeah, thank
the
you.
one you have here is just, I mean, I haven't tried it on yet, so no, I'm not going to try it on. But like, it looks movie quality.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And I was really fortunate that I was working on the show, and we actually had a full suit come in at ILM and on display, and I just went crazy taking photos of it on my phone, and came home, modeled it myself. My version 1 helmet. Actually, I was like, nah, I'm going to mothball that. I'm going to completely redo this model. And I remodeled it, 3D printed it, did all the Bondo and sanding that takes, and then molded that in silicone, and then made castings of that.
Wow.
Yeah, you told me specifically the color that you have on there, the silver is specific, right?
Yeah, it's called a Lumiluster, and it's actually a little bit pricey in terms of paint, but there's no comparison. I tried everything. I tried Alclad and Spaz sticks, and nothing was the right sheen. And the second I hit it with the Lumiluster, it was like, oh my God.
By any chance, did you find out by working at ILM that's what they use, or did you just discover it on your own?
I discovered it through basically Facebook groups of people cosplaying, and Legacy Effects is the one who made all the suits, and for the first season at least, and a lot of those people on the Facebook groups had connections with people at Legacy, and they figured out basically everything about that costume, what kind of shoes were used, which were off-the-shelf shoes, the kind of gloves that he wears.
Yeah.
All that stuff is production designers, like they source that stuff from somewhere. So they were able to figure it all out. And it's kind of interesting. Like, similarly, working at ILM, I've done similar research on like spaceships, like where do these model kit parts come and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, we had a whole we interviewed Jason Eaton.
Jason's we're actually like I'm kind of Facebook friends with him. He's fantastic.
He has all the Tamiya kits on a spreadsheet. And then they've taken them out of the boxes, and he has them in plastic tubs in a subsection of his basement.
Oh, I've seen all his hunker in the bunker.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So have I. Yeah. So have I.
Yep.
Shout out to Jason Eaton.
Yeah. You're awesome, dude.
Considering a lot of your Comic-Con experience and everything, you told us about your first time at the expo, but there was one time in particular I remember seeing you a lot there, or not at Comic-Con specifically, but one of your greatest costumes that I like is you went as a Kenner Batman figurine.
Yeah.
You got to tell us a little bit about that.
That was an idea I had. My friend Landis, who I mentioned, he bought me the Gentle Giant, like blown up superpowers Superman, I think. It might have been Superman, it might have been Batman, but I have both of them now. And I thought, I saw that thing at that size, and I was like, it'd be kind of cool to do. And initially I wanted to do the Superman and have it be like, he has like the blue eyes and the
Oh, wow.
And I was like, it'd be cool to 3D print or like make that suit. And eventually this 3D printer came out by a company called Creality, and it was the first 3D printer that I saw that was like, you could print really big. It can print basically 50 centimeters, like a cube.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that kind of opened the door for me to do big stuff like that. And I remember like we 3D scanned one of my figures. I spray painted it gray and 3D scanned it, and then cleaned it up in ZBrush and cut it up into pieces, scaled it so it fit around my body, and 3D printed them all. Yeah, and it was cool. It even has like the Kenner text on the leg.
I was about to say that because
Yeah.
he did the way that he modeled it. He has where the spots where the screws
grab
go
points.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he has the molding things, but it actually says Kenner on the leg. It's really
Nice.
detailed. That's why I really think a lot of people were taking pictures with you. In that
That was so much fun, and it's cool because like the toy has seams from like the molding process, so I was able to put those seams so it clamps around me like a suit of armor.
Oh wow!
It's super uncomfortable. My arms are up like this all day, so it's not. My shoulders were killing me at the end of the day, and it's very loud too. And like a suit.
See that I didn't know because you had a series of Facebook pictures of that.
Yeah.
And it just like the characters at Disneyland, he had a show. What is it called? A chaperone.
Yes.
Because he had to like,
yeah.
Because the when you put that helmet on, can you actually see through it, or is it kind of like you got to be guided?
Yeah, it's like a mesh, and I used the same thing on my recent hamburger costume as well. It's like a white mesh that you can see through up close, but in the dark it's not so good. And then I need help to get dressed anyway, so. I definitely need chaperones for that.
Yeah, you just did the Hamburglar costume,
yes.
and you based that off like one of the original versions of the Hamburglar. That's honestly to me it looks like nightmare fuel because it looks like a real robber. Like he's got the big nose, he's got like a 5 o'clock shadow on the thing.
Yeah.
Take us through that process too.
Oh well, the Hamburglar. When my childhood McDonald's had this like 4-foot. Fiberglass sculpture of the Hamburglar with that pointy nose, and at that point in the 80s, which is when I was born and kind of growing up, he was already like the cute version with the button nose, rabble, But I saw that statue of him, and I was like, this is awesome! Like he's so creepy and interesting. And then it was something I did like in Inktober a few years ago when I drew the Hamburglar, and I actually go to the Frankenstein's show nearby.
Shout out to Frankenstein's,
and they have that same statue there, and I see it all the time, and I just like I love that era of Hamburglar, and I did some research on it, and I'm actually kind of like a mix between the like V2 and V3 Hamburglar. I kind of did my own thing.
Yeah, because yours is a little bit more photorealistic than the one they have. Because one they have is definitely cartoony because it has the big nose and everything, but yours has like skin texture. Like yours looks like a real face.
That was actually a lot of fun. I had seen different techniques people use to paint miniatures and stuff like that. And what I ended up doing was painting like the like greens around here and real purple colors around here, and then stippling on that flesh color.
Yes, it looks really
great. and I remember doing like just starting to try that and going, oh man, this looks like flesh. Like it was pretty crazy.
It did. It looked really, really great.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Would you say that's your favorite costume?
Currently, right?
Well, I mean, it's the one he did most recently, but I wonder.
It's one of the most comfortable.
Well, sure, because it's just the mask and the cape.
Exactly. The Batman suit was the least comfortable, I would say. But Batman suits are always uncomfortable because it's just this. It's like having a balloon around your head that no sweat can escape from. So.
Right. Well, I mean, Keaton would agree with you too, having to always move his shoulders along with his head and everything. I would agree. What is that?
That's going to be a great gift of us just going like that. Yeah.
Would you say one of the Batmans is your favorite costume, or?
I ended up doing kind of a Keaton-esque Batman where it was a cloth bodysuit with the Keaton kind of emblem with the little feet on the...
Easier to move because it was cloth instead of rubber.
Yeah, well, it just breathes, right?
Yeah.
I really liked wearing that one. Probably my favorite, awesome costume is I did the Pan from Pan's Labyrinth, El Fauno.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
And I found this Instructables on building the digigrade stilts that give your leg that dog shape.
There are pictures of that, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, there's some video of me like learning to walk in those, and
that's how you know it's a good costume. You're learning to walk in it.
Well, but you learn to walk in, and you also have to walk in character a bit too with that. That's not just a straight walk. Yeah,
right? And that proved to be a little difficult. I ended up having to have like a dowel to like lean on and stuff, because these stilts you have to get the measurements right, and I don't think I quite did, because I could never balance and hold still. I constantly had to walk or lean on something. So I'm actually like kind of working, not actively, but on a version 2 of the stilts. But
okay.
I did a werewolf with those stilts as well, which
I also saw that one.
Yeah, it's fun. It makes you like 8 feet tall, which I'm sure you're used to.
I'm used to it. Already there.
So just having some
I'm
bigger
certainly
shoes.
not used to it. Yeah, it was so fun, and it kind of like I really loved seeing children, and that's one of my favorite parts of wearing these costumes is children kind of have this weird reaction to you. They're they're like, oh, it's this character I know, but it's not supposed to be real. Like,
what are you doing here?
It's really unusual. And I was that kid. Like, my mom made Superman suits for me when I was little.
Oh.
I have a whole album on Facebook of just like my growing up and dressing up, and it's been a huge part of my life, and it still is.
Yeah, you know what? I'm trying to instill that with my son. I did it 2 years ago because last October was kind of a wash for everything. But I dressed up as Miles Morales. And then he dressed up as like Spider-Man, so it was like I'm trying to instill this like it's cool to dress up and everything because I want him to have that.
It's a slippery slope. Then he's going to be buying gallons of silicone and resin. Yeah, just be careful. I'm just saying.
Maybe he'll go more into just costuming, just like pageantry or something like that.
That's cool too. Yeah, that's sewing is something that like I can get around, but man, I'm not great at it.
Yeah, it would be. That's the common thing I hear. You watch
Adam
Adam Savage.
You're,
he can sew, but he always says, "It's not my core competency."
Yeah, but you have a Jedi costume. You didn't make that, right?
No, I did not. But we were talking about comfortable costumes. Go Jedi.
Oh yeah.
Well, the boots, right? The boots aren't that comfortable though.
No,
right?
they're terrific.
Are they really?
Absolutely wonderful, because we bought Jedi specific boots. My son and I both went to WonderCon as Jedis, and we had the robes made. And
talk about a slippery slope, right?
well, considering my first cosplay was Darth Vader, and the costume was not perfect in that the person that made the shoulders it was almost like 1.5 inches of fiberglass. So it was heavy. Yeah. And then I had the Dawn Post helmet. It was heavy. So I'm lugging all this around, trying to walk all Darth-like, but I've got
it's like
an extra
sweating.
20 pounds of fiberglass on.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
People always underestimate a cape too. That is a heavy thing to wear.
Yeah, especially a Darth Vader helmet.
You put that much fiberglass on, you are not thinking about the cape.
Even the Hamburg Moose cape, though, I was like, oh man. And he's supposed to load up the pockets with burgers? Yes, it has pockets on it.
Well, I mean, let's hope they're not actual burgers.
Hey, kid, want to buy a burger?
Yeah.
Bring out the costume and everything. Oh, let's go.
Yeah, I contemplated handing out burgers on Halloween night, but
No,
I didn't end up
Gene.
making it down to McDonald's for that.
No, I don't think so. I don't think they'd
But even
appreciate
just-
you.
yeah.
I don't think they'd appreciate you handing out McDonald's to their kids.
You never know, man. There's a McDonald's down the street. It's always busy.
There you go.
I've seen a lot of your collectibles in your collection are just kind of out of this world. One in particular I remember using as an example was when I talked to my friends was you have the Ninja Turtles. You have lots of Ninja Turtles, but you have one specifically from their coming out of their shell tour.
Yes.
Right?
So NECA has been doing these Ninja Turtles from the movies, and from the initial one, the initial one was like they did like the quarter scale or at six scale, but they did the big ones, and I was like, oh man, those are like 120 each, and there's 4 turtles. I can't do that. But they came out with this Comic-Con exclusive that was the 4 turtles. And I was like, I gotta have that. So I ended up setting up my PayPal, making sure, because they did it for 2 days, and I set up my PayPal and everything, because the first day I missed it. And the second day I'm like, I've got to be logged in and ready, because they sell out like that.
Yeah.
So I got it, and I was like, yeah. And I've just been riding that train since. They just made April O'Neil and Casey Jones. And I'm like,
wow.
Oh, God. But what the Comic-Con exclusive, I think last year, was the Coming Out of Their Shells tour. And
That's right.
I remember, I didn't really see that when I was little, but I did sort of discover this meme video of them playing like hardcore. It was like, and
it's a weird trip.
it was so funny, but we were laughing at stuff like, oh, they've got like a 1-string bass. Like,
yes, it's because
so
their
funny.
fingers, they only have 3 fingers.
Yeah,
so it's like,
and they're wearing tennis shoes and stuff.
I mean, if you've ever seen when they did the Coming Out of Their Shell tour, if I'm not mistaken, they did an Oprah, like at this point, it's just like an infamous Oprah interview.
Oprah, I've been trying to talk her into an interspecies relationships for months now.
Whoa, Raph, chill, man.
And she won't do it, huh?
She can't hold her breath.
No, she can't do it.
The biggest problem is she can't hold her breath long enough, you know?
But it's just, it's very cringy. So I was like, why would you collect that?
Well, it just kind of, it was just that recipe of, I'm already collecting all the other ones, and it was honestly that hardcore video where they were just singing the hardcore song, and I was like, this is funny. Like, I think it's a good collection piece just because it's such a conversation piece. It's so hilarious.
It truly is, because that was one of those, it's a weird combination, and you know as well as we do, like in the 80s, if they could commercialize something, they did.
Oh, yeah.
For me, it was more like Mortal Kombat had come out, and then all of a sudden it was Mortal Kombat the musical. And they were on KTLA doing the moves and stuff, and I was like, oh, this is just awful.
Yeah.
But I saw that tour, but not here in the United States. I saw it in Mexico, and it was just as bad as it was there. Like, everything was terrible about it.
That's amazing.
You'd think so, because like it's all in Spanish, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot of the times when you hear the turtles and they're so like stuck in your head, right?
Right.
And then you hear them in a completely different language. You're just like, this is awful.
Yeah, they did in kind of relation to this the NECA figures. They did like a 30-year reunion recently. I think it was last year, and they did like this live stream. And they had some of the original cast, and they had the guy who plays Raphael, Josh Pace.
Wow.
And just hearing him read the lines, I was like, oh my God. Like, I got
Does he
chills.
still sound good? Like,
he sounds exactly like Raphael. And he was
that's
in,
so cool.
He was in, I think, Mrs. Fletcher. And I was like, I know that voice. Like, that voice is just burned into my head. It's so good.
His interaction with Casey Jones in the movie is probably my most favorite part in all the Turtles movies. When he almost gets him with the Jose Canseco bag. Like, you didn't pay money for this. That perfect New York accent, you know what I mean? Like, you didn't pay money for this.
And he's just like, ooh, yeah, it's so good.
It's so good. Going back to the 80s, I guess. You're obviously a Batman fan. I'm most of your stuff is Batman. You've been working on a project to kind of, I don't know, pay homage to the original Keaton movie?
So it kind of started as, the Keaton Batman movies, that was my introduction to Batman, really. I'm sure I saw the 60s show, and, my parents liked that, but that was like, I think 4.
You didn't get blown away by Adam West? Is that what you're saying?
I do love that Batman, but Keaton is it for me. He's the best.
Yeah.
And that movie was turning 30. And I think I saw randomly some picture of a guy posing next to the Batman vault, like where his costume is. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that would be fun to model. So I found this photo, different photos, different people who had like figured out some of the measurements and stuff, which is one of the things I love about my, this hobby, and this community has grown. Like, with the internet, you used to never find this kind of stuff out, but now people have whole sites dedicated to figuring stuff out like this out, and even Star Wars and stuff too. But I built that vault, and then I was like, that's cool, but I gotta build the car. So I started modeling the car.
Whoa.
And then it became, it'd be cool to model the car and like kind of like show it off inside like a Batcave environment.
Right.
So that kind of, I started roughing that out. And when I'm working I work in Maya, and I like to be as precise as I can. So I brought in all these camera angles from the movie of the Batcave, and I started to kind of line things up and figure out proportions of things. And then I found this behind the scenes photo, which I'd never seen before, where it's looking at the driver's side of the car, and you see the entire cave set.
Right.
And I was like, oh my God, it was all a set. Like, it was all built. So then that sent me down this rabbit hole of figuring it all out. And one of the things I discovered is that there's some movie magic going on in the cave. And when Vicky Vale and Batman leave the cave, he turns on the lights, that big moment. There's a
Spark.
Cool, yeah,
You know, yeah.
There's a cool story about modeling that, but I don't know, I'll get into that. But they walk into a door, which is basically the car is here, they get out of the car, there's a doorway here, and they walk out that door. Literally the next shot, they're coming through a door, clear across the cave, which if you look from their perspective, you see the car again. So it's kind of like, it's weird. I'll kind of show you in the scene that I have, but I kind of thought that was funny. I was like, oh man, they totally cheated that, and like no one would ever know unless you saw that one BTS photo, which is really cool.
It's a quantum door that allows you to travel anywhere inside the Batcave.
It sounds like something you'd see in the Waterworld stunt show. Not to take it back to that, but you know what I'm talking about, where they're like, I gotta get somewhere, and they take off in this door, and they're magically on that side.
Right.
One of the cool things though about doing it in the Unreal Engine is you can actually make portals in a game. So I'm thinking about like making just a portal door where you walk through, and then you come through the other side. But I think that would be too weird because you literally like leave the car and then you see the car again.
You see the car again because you kind of just come around.
Just make an orange rim light on one door and a blue rim light on the other door.
Yeah. The other thing too is I'm almost done modeling the Batwing, which is the
I was about to ask because
that
is in the set. It's hanging, right?
It's hanging in Batman Forever.
Right.
It was never really seen in the Batcave in '89.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm kind of like thinking, maybe I go in that door and I have like some offshoot and the Batwing sitting in there.
Right.
I like that.
That might kind of switch things up.
Because thinking about how Tim Burton was trying to dress that, most of his costume choices and his visual design stuff was based on the book so much that he's like, it has to forget about the functionality of it, actually look like presentable kind of thing, right? Because like even with his costume and the pointy ears, the cowl and everything, stoically it looks awesome, but in terms of actually fighting and everything,
you can't move your head,
not so much.
Well, that was kind of one of the genius things about that movie is it actually deviated from the comics. It didn't do the gray and blue. They were like, it's got to be black, and that's what I really love. I think just first seeing Batman in all black, because he's a bat. Of course, he's gonna be all black. It's like,
but
obvious,
with a big yellow target.
I mean, no, but just seeing that, I think really just struck my just child brain, and I was like, that's so cool. And I think that's kind of just resonated with me into my adulthood. And what's great about, and Adam Savage just did a video where he sees the production miniature of the Batwing, and he describes it really well, where it's just this perfect like mix of realism and just fantasy, right?
Yep.
Because a plane that shape would never fly. No. You don't really see where the exhaust or the thrust comes from.
No.
Which is something I've on my model. I'm like, it's kind of.
Well, they imply it. I'm familiar with the model because I too am a fan of it.
Yes,
I built the model kit, and I look for that stuff. And the way they imply it, it's just a series of vents in the back. Yeah. But there's no. There's no real. There's nothing in there. They didn't model anything in there, and there's no real intake on the front.
No.
Right.
No, because the front is all based with that little
There are three little
underneath, right?
Yeah. There's some on the side of the cockpit. There's 3 little things, but that's it.
Yeah, not enough for a true jet we see in a jet fighter.
When you look at the space that the interior occupies, there's no.
Where's the engine?
Again, that's it's like substance or like the style over the substance because it had to look a certain way.
Yeah.
So you have the look of something.
And of course, it builds that iconic moment where it flies up and lands up on the moon.
Exactly,
and
that's what I'm
drops
saying.
back
It's
down.
like that's why I think
that's the whole reason it's like that.
Exactly.
right, exactly,
Yep.
and that's what I'm saying. Like if he were actually to build that into the cave, I think he'd have it hanging because it was like it's a bat, it's got to hang. You know what I mean?
It could.
And as soon as you
Upside
walk
down.
up to it, you want to see the silhouette of the ship, like stylistically.
Well, that's one of the things I love about the model kit is it has landing gear,
Yeah.
and that was something that I wanted to incorporate in my model. I'm actually planned to have it just sitting on the turntable like the car is.
Yeah.
Sure.
But because I really like having the detail of like landing gear. I like that kind of stuff. But.
Speaking of detail and everything, the last things I want to talk about in your costumes, you got the gun with the belt clip.
Yeah, so I have a replica of the Batman's Grapple Gun by a company called Valor Replicas. So I was researching for my digital build, and he offered the kit, and I was like, I'll take it. So it was really cool, and it's one of the things I would never wear it out to a convention because it would probably get broken or something.
Right.
But
Yeah.
You make a version of it that you can wear to a convention
yeah,
off
actually,
of that.
on this, NECA who made all the turtles I've been buying. They made a Batarang and they made
Oh wow.
a grapple gun too. So that's like perfect. It's like a $20 toy that I can wear.
It's kind of
All right.
like what they're doing with the Hasbro stuff now with
Yeah.
the Ghostbusters pack
Yeah,
and wand that they're making ones that you can actually wear.
There's
not
never
bad.
been a better time to like wear these costumes and be into this stuff. Like they're just targeting our age group and just fleecing.
Because now we have money.
Yeah,
That's what it is. Because
exactly.
now we have money. Back
Exactly.
when it was like Kevin always talks about the times when, growing up and there was Star Wars. It was like Star Wars had these little figurines like this. We
Yeah.
had no money, but so we could afford these little Kenner toys, right?
Yeah.
We had plenty of those. Of course, not everything I wanted, but I certainly got enough of it.
All right, what about your first lightsaber?
I don't want to go great. I mean, it was dismal. Do you know the story of these first lightsabers? They still make them. They still make them today. These orange ever-ready flashlights. You can still buy them.
Right.
It's got the big white button on top that slides back and forth.
Yeah.
Plastic, and the golf bag, the golf tube separators. Somebody had figured out a way to connect one to these orange ever-ready flashlights and put a little piece of red or blue gel in there, and that was the first Christmas with it. One or two hits, and you've got like a. You got a 90-degree lightsaber, but that was it. That was really the only Star Wars toy we got that first year because there were no action figures.
I grew up in kind of the Power of the Force era. So we
Oh
bought all
yeah,
the
the pose
yoked-
ones. Yeah,
the
yeah.
buff figures.
I
Yeah.
would see this is who's buying these things now.
No,
you see what I'm saying?
not
He's
the-
like, no.
I didn't. I saw those and I went, I am not doing buff Skywalker. That's not
Buff Anakin. I like Buff Anakin.
that was just
cool.
ridiculous. I said, well, then you got to yoke the droids too, right? I mean, you can't just
They
stop.
kind of were.
Oh, the Unleashed ones. I remember the Stormtroop Commander, the one with the blue line.
Oh, yeah.
I remember he was yoked. He was definitely like buffed up under that suit because it was like that suit was wearing him.
I want to hear the pitch meeting for that. I want to be in the room where they say, "Oh, look and go, they're all buff."
It's like that's
Well,
right.
Yeah.
All right, there we go.
That was kind
Imperial steroids. Everybody's on them. The whole universe.
Kids love He-Man, right?
George, really? Yeah.
That was kind of that era too, where they were starting to like get wise to collectors, and they just put it out everywhere.
Everything.
Yeah,
I remember
And
that.
Now they're
Yes,
worth.
but I'm trying to figure out what they thought the
Right.
collectors wanted. You know what they're missing? Buff Star Wars figures. Obviously, we've missed that market. Let's fill it.
They probably did like normal first, and they're like, "That's not heroic enough."
It's gonna be.
Oh,
yoked.
muscles are heroic. Oh,
Yes.
That's how you.
Oh my god. It's like the He-Man
Seen
era.
Harrison Ford, he's huge.
There's one thing kids love that's in Star Wars. It's yoked individuals. That's what
Yes.
they need.
Yep.
Speaking of collectibles, and this is kind of one thing we like to ask everybody is like, right now, what is the one collectible that you're kind of pining for? Like the one thing that you really, really want to get?
Well, and we kind of spoke about this earlier, but one of my favorite Star Wars lines is the Action Fleet line. They were like these small micro machine vehicles with the little figures that had like 2 points of articulation that go inside. And I've got a good amount of them, but there's a couple that are just rare, and it's the TIE Defender and the E-Wing. and those are on kind of my bucket list.
What are we talking about in terms of price here?
They go open on eBay for like 200 at least.
Did you say open on eBay is 200?
It's
How
rare.
big are these? This is micro machines, so we're talking like this, right?
They're like that. They're like that big. They're that was one of the great things about that line is it was just kind of a good size. You could fit the figure inside of it. It wasn't like the big ship that you're like struggling to carry and fly around your living room. It was just like, yeah, that's it, you know. And I just really like the level of detail, the paint jobs on those ones. And you know the sad thing about those two, I remember seeing them just sitting there at KB Toys, like just no one was buying them.
Oh
and
no!
If I could go back,
as soon as you get your DeLorean time machine, then you know to go back and buy those.
That'll probably be my first stop. But you know, there's
did you collect those as kids or like as a kid, or did you
I had a good amount of them, but they all got just completely trashed.
Well, yeah, you played with them, obviously,
exactly,
right?
yeah.
Exactly. So that's what, like a lot of my old school like Nintendo games and everything. None of my stuff is pristine.
Yeah.
Except for maybe the Virtual Boy that I keep. Because to play that thing, you really have to want to play that thing.
You just have to cherish that thing.
No, yeah, but everything's used. Everything in my collection is pretty much used, so it's not like this kind of.
Even displaying it, I'm not one for displaying in packaging. If I like it enough to collect it, it's coming out of the thing and it's going up on the shelf with the other stuff. I'm not necessarily playing with it, but I want it to look good, and I don't want it to look like a retail store.
Exactly.
But I mean, if you're doing it for the money, why are you showing it? You know,
exactly.
It's weird.
And that's the thing. I was always the guy who did that, opened it up, display it. And that was something that my dad and uncle really fostered. Like they would give me the Hot Wheel, man, crack that thing open, let's take a look, you know.
Did they actually run it through the track and everything?
Absolutely. And it wasn't until recently where you start spending more money, and it's like, maybe I shouldn't do it. And you get kind of
why did you buy
it?
What
are you gonna get your money back for? You're really not.
That's the whole, right. It's not, I have had that struggle. I've had that discussion with myself, but it always comes down to buy what you love what you buy.
Right. But part of it too is like the packaging is kind of a work of art in itself. I'm kind of like,
I do keep some boxes of things. I have several things that I keep the boxes. If I ever have to move, I want it to travel in its intended case. So they're not gone on some of them.
I think that if you can take it out and put stuff back, I think that's probably the ideal situation.
Right.
Yeah. I think it, as well as like the only thing that I do that with is big, like in televisions, old Nintendos, anything like that, because the packaging is usually hilarious. You got a kid playing Nintendo on there. He's like, it's like the system's not on. You're definitely not playing that game, but it's great. Well, Jay, it's been such a pleasure talking to you and catching up, honestly, with us. If there's anything else you'd like to say to our Collectopolis fans,
now's your chance.
Honestly, don't know. Check out Mandalorian Season 3.
There you go.
And Obi-Wan Kenobi is going to be awesome, too.
Oh, don't you worry.
Thanks so much, Jay. Thanks once again to Jay for sharing his insane collection with us and letting us see all his incredible costumes. And thank you to our viewers. We're looking forward to a great 2020. We have so much in store for you guys.
Indeed. I got the feeling I think I'm gonna have to put an order in for one of those Mando helmets. It was just it felt, it's weird to say, it felt real holding it in the hands. It didn't feel like, no, you know what I mean? It didn't feel like a toy. You know what I mean?
No, it felt like movie quality stuff, man. Like it's a shame you can't translate the touch of the helmet to everybody looking out there, because it looks great and it feels good on your head.
If you pause it and look at it, you can see it's almost got like a automotive finish. You know, I know he talked about paint, but it's an automotive finish is more than the paint. What you're putting it on has to be able to hold it and look, if it was just styrene, it would look like painted styrene. I mean, really,
you're right, because the way it feels almost looks like you could take some wax, and start polishing the heck out of it. You know what I mean? Like that was
it had good weight to it too.
Yeah, it did.
Although I complain about weight in my Darth Vader costume. In this case, it's a helmet. I don't know. I think helmets should have a little weight to them. Just me.
Yeah, I feel that, and especially with things like with your costumes and everything, I think the helmet part should probably be the heaviest. Like the rest of the costume, like I can imagine Jay eventually will put together maybe the rest of it with some, shoulder pads. You don't want a lot of weight on that because that's kind of where you're moving around.
Yeah, because he
the
doesn't
helmet,
do enough.
You definitely want to
already.
be like, yeah, I know, right? I think Jay's got the costume thing all set to go, right? Like my favorite is still the Batman one, right?
I don't know. That pan was awesome. I mean, I'm trying to look at all those costumes and I'm like, pick one I like the best. Well, they all were done so well. I just would say anything Jay's doing is worth looking at. You know what I mean?
You know what? I just feel bad because the one that I said, oh, that's the best one. He's like, yeah, that was the most uncomfortable one I had. Like that was the part where I was just like, oh, that's just uncomfortable. I don't want to wear that.
He's gone as several different Batmans. He's gone as a couple of different Supermans. He's gone as Speed Racer, and I mean, and he's gone as Han Solo. It's a bunch of stuff we didn't talk about it because we would have just been talking about all his cosplay, but all of his cosplays were very well done from top to bottom. So it's hard to say, I mean, there's the one.
That's right. Yeah. The Mando helmet, though, is the top of the chest. So, I mean, if you're going to get one of those, I mean, I would put your order in because those look the way that he makes them. I mean, they look like they take a while. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. I mean, sanding and polishing and painting and sanding and wet sanding and then repainting. I know it's a process. But you know what? Jay has inspired me. Guess what I'm going to do? Ernie?
Oh?
Guess what I'm going to do?
What are you going to do?
I got this.
Are you?
Yeah, that's right. I got Trapper Wolf, and I'm leaving it in the box. Thank you, Jay. I'm leaving this one. All this stuff back here out of the box.
Yeah,
but he's so right. Look how nice the artwork is. Look at that.
Yeah,
that Dave Filoni portrait there. Right. And look, and they did such a good job. Almost
the packaging just looks so good with everything kind of put together, doesn't it?
Yeah, this really is deluxe packaging.
Yeah,
so thank you, Jay. This is my tribute right here. Tribute to Jay Machado.
I mean, it's no Waterworld's boat. It's no Waterworld boat, but we'll take it, right, Kevin?
Exactly. So I take everything out of the box, man. I've got, look at my Dr. Zaius. I didn't leave him in the box. I took him out.
Well, because just like Jay said, he was like, sometimes you took it out and you played with it. But some of the stuff you got to leave in the box, right? Yes, I know how that sounded.
No. Well, this is the tribute. This is my tribute collectible for the Jay Machado.
In honor of Jay.
Yeah, yes. In honor of Jay.
I like that.
So, well, that's our show. And remember, we're always looking for more viewers. So please help share the show to your friends who love collectibles. And don't forget to visit us on our Facebook group page. Like us, tell your friends. We would love to hear your feedback. You can comment on the show. You could ask a question or even leave us a direct message.
Tweet at us at SkywalkingPod and use the hashtag Collectopolis. We are part of the Skywalking Network.
Skynet.
Where you can also find other great shows like the Neverland Clubhouse, Star Warsologies, Talking Apes, Totally Tell Me Everything, the Max FX podcast, and the flagship show, Skywalking Through Neverland.
And look for more shows on the Skywalking Network YouTube channel, like Classic Marvel Star Wars Comics, and Today in Star Wars History, your daily Star Wars history lesson. Until next time, I'm Kevin.
And I'm Ernie, and we'll see you next time here on Collectopolis.
And remember, collect what you love and love what you collect.